The next Call of Duty game, which is said to be Black Ops 7, is scheduled for this year, 2025, but it is not taking place in 2025. It's taking place in 2035, which is right in between Black Ops 2 and Black Ops 4. Black Ops 2 taking place in 2025 and Black Ops 4 taking place in 2045. So this new game is set to take place right in the middle. And as you guys know, over the years, I've dove into the story of Call of Duty. And today I want to dive into what I believe is the darkest story of all time. And to understand the story, you have to understand how story used to work in Black Ops games. So as of right now, we saw yesterday with Season 3 Reloaded, the bundles and the operators that are getting added into the game have gotten more and more unrealistic, ridiculous, and quite literally out of this world. But that's not the way operators used to work. You see, back in Black Ops 3 and Black Ops 4, operators told a story. There was a story for each and every operator, even if they added them in after the launch of the game. There was challenges you could do for these operators that would give you more lore, more story, more intel. And in fact, in Black Ops 4, we got in-depth details and cutscenes for all of them. And in this video, I'm going to show you what I believe the darkest story ever told in a Call of Duty game truly is. And when I was doing research for this, I have found more about this story than I ever have before. So if you enjoy this type of video and want to see more videos like this one, show me by hitting that like button, subscribing, turning notifications on. Without further ado, this is the darkest story Call of Duty has ever told. This is Krzysztof Hedzik, aka Firebreak. Now, he is an area of denial character using a weapon known as the Purifier, aka a flamethrower. Now, the interesting thing about this character is he traditionally works in the battlefield, but within the cutscene that we are seeing here, he is in Singapore. Now, this plays more not into the backstory of Firebreak, but what is going on in Black Ops 4 and Black Ops 3. But as you can see here, Singapore is completely abandoned. And if you're wondering what happened, it is a major part of both the Black Ops 3 and the Black Ops 4 stories. And that is the Singapore disaster. This can be seen as a mainstay in not only the Black Ops 3 campaign, but also many of the maps. Basically, a toxin was released within Singapore, causing people to get very sick, and the city to be completely shut down because of this outbreak. A quarantine zone was set up and people like Firebreak were sent in to go in and burn the dead bodies to stop the spread of the toxin. Now, the city was taken over by a group called the 54 Immortals, something we could cover in a future video. But yeah, Firebreak is there to burn the dead bodies, something that would be traumatizing and only a specific person would be able to set to do so.
Your kills are rarely clean, and they often make a lot of noise. Psychological impact of that is priceless. You'll be feared by your enemies and respected by your allies. Actually, your allies will probably fear you too. And you know, I'm fine with that.
But that is not the dark part of this story whatsoever. The dark part is his backstory and how eventually he came to be in this position and in this job.
My family, what's to tell?
You fucking dirty little thief!
Papa, I was hungry.
You worthless maggot, just like your brother!
My mother left because my father was a drunk. No surprise, I acted out every chance I could.
So as Krzysztof grew older, around the age of 9 or 10, things with his father got worse, and that's pretty much the only person that he had. So as he did, he began to act out more and more, and the way that he did was starting fires.
One time, he hurt sister pretty bad. Didn't mean to, but grown man was stronger than he think. After that, I set fire to warehouse on other side of train tracks from house. First time I get in trouble with police. Father let me stay in holding cell 3 days. Probably not want anyone seeing sister's broken arm. I was 10 years old.
And this pretty much went on until he hit a breaking point. Well, him and his sister hit a breaking point, and he wanted to protect her. And that is when this happened.
A few months later, after my father had passed out for night in customary stupor, my sister suggested we rid ourselves of the old man for good. Seemed like good idea. I took his lighter from table and set fire to chair he was snoring in. This was when plan go bad. He woke up, screamed, and ran from room, knocking over spirits on table, spread fire all over the place.
So yes, he killed his father, and after this, having no family, was forced into foster care, as well as at the age of 17, being given an option. Either he goes to prison or he goes into the military. He chose the military. Here's what's crazy. That is still not the darkest part of the story. Don't get me wrong, it's really, really dark and extremely sad, but still, it doesn't touch the darkest part of the story. So to understand this, Call of Duty at the time had a set of comics that, again, went deeper into the operators' backstories, some other games that went into deeper lore about their game story, but there was one that was specifically about Firebreak. Now, the beginning of this story is actually pretty straightforward and pretty much already what we knew. It starts out with us seeing Firebreak using his purifier against some enemy soldiers, but eventually it transitions into his backstory. We see the same thing that we saw with the cutscene alongside his sister and see him killing his father. However, this time we also see his sister get taken away from him and him get put into a prison and therefore eventually into foster care. As we find out through the rest of this comic, yes, he ends up joining the military, but this entire time he was looking for his sister. After getting separated from his sister, he was never in contact with her again and always just wanted to reconnect. And eventually, through various means and seemingly killing many, many people, he is able to track her down. Now we find out through the comic that his sister's name is Marika, and he ends up tracking her down and finding out that she is a seamstress. And throughout this conversation, both of them are getting very, very upset. He apologizes to his sister for never being there for her, never able to take care of her or help her out. Yet at the same time, his sister seems overly upset and eventually so upset that she shows that she has been severely disfigured, and he doesn't understand why. Well, turns out that whole backstory that we thought we knew about Firebreak was wrong, because it was actually his sister that caused this whole fire. She was the one that told him to light the flame. She was the one who actually poured the lighter fluid on her father. She was the one behind the entire thing, which in the circumstance, is it okay? Well, that's up for debate, but what she does after this is the actual problem. After she was separated from her brother, she essentially continued doing what she did there. However, as a seamstress, she created clothes for children in foster care and children in disprivileged families that they would bring home, and she used a material that was flammable. She would then go to the house of the children, light the clothes on fire in order to kill them and kill their father. Because of what she went through, she wanted no one to suffer in the same way that she would. But because of this, she was also a serial killer, or specifically an arsonist. So she ends up lighting the building on fire and running away from her brother. Now, it seems as though she was never killed, but she escapes completely. And afterwards, Firebreak ends up escaping out of the fire, which we will come back to in a second, but she kills everyone else in that building. And then it is revealed that Firebreak has been hearing voices inside the fires that he lights. And the voices that he has heard has always been his sister's. Now, it was never really clear what came of this. After this fire started, we don't know what happened with his sister, where she went to, nor do we know the extent of the injuries that Firebreak actually received from this, mentally or physically. But what we do see is after this, that beautiful, luscious locks that were on his head are completely gone. You see, throughout the Black Ops 4 cutscenes, the only time that we actually see Firebreak without a mask on is at the very, very beginning. See on the right-hand side of the screen right now, the big shouldered bald guy, that is Firebreak. So obviously a very big change there. Then later on in the cutscene, it does turn around and we do get to see his face just a little bit. But other than that, we never really see Firebreak without any mask on or anything of the sort. So you can kind of see where Firebreak gets his, distorted view of what he does for a living.
The job I do, it's not for everyone. It's close-up work. You get to see what you do. You can't deny it. You can't unsee or unsmell it. Used to be, I'd RTB, and the smell of burnt flesh would be so strong, I wouldn't be able to eat. Doesn't bother me anymore.
Now, the question you may be asking is, okay, we know his backstory, we know how he became Firebreak, but where is this interview coming from? Well, that is where the story of Black Ops 4 comes in and how it progresses the story of the Black Ops universe as a whole. The background of Black Ops 4 and Black Ops 3, at least the specialist character side of thing, are based around one character, and that is Savannah Mason Meyer, who is Alex Mason's granddaughter. Now, she is the world's first trillionaire, and she basically is building an army of super soldiers known as specialists, and that is who you are seeing here, Firebreak being one of those specialist characters. But that interview is being carried out by her, because in the final piece of intel that you unlock in actually Black Ops 3, this is what it says. Now, this debrief is the same for every single operator in the game. Have a listen to this.
Based on the requirements laid out at the start of this procurement process, I'm certain that the intelligence gathered in the dossiers in front of you will lead you to conclude that the 8 referenced individuals will be the best subjects for your program. Further, I believe that the plant you specified be placed amongst them will independently verify my findings. As instructed, the intelligence was gathered covertly, using a number of...
Are you certain they were unaware of your surveillance?
Yes, sir. I'd stake my reputation.
There's more at stake here than your reputation.
Sir. Yes, sir.
Very well. Leave us. We were never here. We have never spoken.
So this was a transmission to one of the specialist characters, one of the operators who was a plant in amongst the other ones. Now, the other operators were all picked for 2 reasons. They stood above the rest physically or maybe even mentally, but on top of that, they all had a troubled background, which could be abused by Savannah Mason, so she could twist the soldiers and manipulate them to do her bidding. This was the backstory of the entire thing and may very well be a part of the Black Ops story moving forward. So this was the darkest story that I've seen in Call of Duty by far. If you would like to see more videos like this, show me by hitting that like button. If you want to see more Black Ops 4 videos, maybe more operator videos, let me know down in the comments. But let me know what you think of this one. I hope you guys enjoyed, and until next time, peace.
We are reaching for the stars, but we're making